Every Autobot burns in hell. I think in civilizations. I think in extinction. I think in the survival of Cybertron. Optimus thinks in individuals. That is why he loses. Yes, he has beaten me, but that's besides the point.
Before we get into this episode, just wanted to say thank you, first and foremost, for being part of this community. The team here at the Diary of a CEO is now almost 30 people, and that's literally because you watch and you subscribe and you leave comments and you like the videos. That this show's been able to grow, and it's the greatest honor of my life to sit here with these incredible people and just selfishly ask them questions that I'm pondering over or worrying about in my life. But this is just the beginning for the Diary of a CEO. We've got big plans to scale this show to every corner of the world and to diversify our guest selection. And that's enabled by you, by a simple thing that you guys do, which is to watch. So if there's one thing you could do to help this show and to help us continue to do what we do, it's just to hit the subscribe button. If you like this show, if you like what we do here, if you watch these episodes, please just hit that subscribe button. It means the world. Let's get on with it. What do I need to know about you and your earliest years to understand the life that you went on, that journey you went on, and the person you came to be?
You ask me how we got here. You exit as though this moment is an accident, as though the world simply stumbled into chaos. As though mankind woke up one morning and discovered gods and monsters walking among them, tearing through your cities, burning your skies, crushing your armies, and wondered how such a thing happened to us. No, nothing was happened to your species accidental. Nothing that has happened to Cybertron was accidental. Nothing that happened to me was accidental. Wiki. It was a choice. It was cowardice. It was hunger. It was betrayal. It was the oldest pattern in the universe, repeating itself beneath newer stars. All you humans, for all your pride, for all your noise, for all your weapons and little flags and speeches are not unique. You're all simply late to the game. You arrive late to a war you do not understand. Inherited consequences you did not earn, and then had the arrogance to believe you were the center of them. That is humanity's greatest sickness. You believe because something touches your planet. However, it must be about you. It is certainly not. Earth is not sacred. Earth is not chosen. Earth is not special because little insects with language built towers on it and declared ownership. Earth becomes important because the All-Spark came here, because I came here. Because Cybertron history bled into your soil long before your governments had names for what they found beneath the ice. Your civilization was not prepared for the truth. So you leaders did what small leaders always do. They bury it. They buried me. They called me an alien anomaly. a specimen, a weapon to be studied. They froze me in the bowels of your nation, beneath Hoover Dam, gave me a designation like I was some relic in a fort, NEBE1, non-biological extraterrestrial, or clinical. How human. They looked upon the body of Megatron, Lord of the Decepticons, conqueror of worlds, master of armies, and thought, can we reverse engineer him? Can we steal from him? Can we turn divinity into consumer technology? And that what you did nothing. Your radios and machines, your weapons, your vehicles, nothing but insect sticks. Your communications, your civilization leaped forward because mankind, in endless hypocrisy, harvested the corpse of war. It clung to fear. You did not fear us when we made you powerful. You feared us when we woke up. When I woke up. That is always the way with humans. You adore the weapon until the weapon points back. And then came the Autobots. Your noble saviors. You metal knights. Your protectors from the stars. Do you want to know the first lie the Autobots tell you? They tell you they came here to protect humanity. No. They came here because I am here. They came here because the Allspark was here. They came here because the war they failed to end on Cybertron followed them across the cosmos and landed at your feet. They did not choose you because you were noble. They chose you because mankind deserved salvation. They chose you because Earth became strategically relevant in the Great War, because Optimus Prime, in that endless performance of honor, he mistakes for leadership, could not allow me to claim what was mine. That is the truth. The Autobots did not bring peace to your world. They brought war to it and then demanded gratitude for standing in front of the fire they hoped helped ignite. They wanted it to go. And humanity applauded because they were on the right side. Because humans adore a beautiful lie. Optimus Prime lowers his voice, just as mine. Speaks of freedom, sacrifice, courage, and suddenly you forget the buildings falling around you. You forget the bodies. You forget Chicago. You forget the oceans of metal and flame. You forget every time the Autobots arrive, devastation follows. They are very good at choosing words that survive the rubble. I chose the truth, and the truth is, freedom is a luxury purchased by power. Peace is not a principle. Peace is a condition imposed by the strong after their enemies have been made incapable of resisting. Cybertron understood this once, before the weakness, before the councils, before the speeches, before the cast of soft-minded idealists who believed in an empire could be governed by the sentient. Cybertron was not merely a plant, it was a furnace of civilization, a machine world of beauty, discipline, and strength. Its towers pierced the atmosphere, its armies were wide and shook moons. Its knowledge could bend space, command energy, reshape matter. We were not like you, scratching symbols onto stone and calling it progress. We were forged from the living world, born into purpose, made of metal and will. And then we decayed, not because we lacked resources, not because our enemies were stronger, because we became ashamed of strength. Cybertron's leaders began to worship balance, compromise, restraint. They spoke of peace, while corruption spread through the gears of our society. They spoke of unity, while entire classes of Cypronian forces were discarded, ignored, assigned their function as though spark and destiny were the same thing. And Optimus believed the system could be redeemed. We went to hell and back, 'cause he believed differently than I. He always believed that. That is the great flaw. Don't you see? He looks at rot and sees a wonderful tree. I look at rot and know it must be burnt out before the whole forest dies. You call that cruelty. I call it clarity. I saw what Cybertron was becoming. I saw weakness disguised as morality. I saw leaders who would rather watch our world starve than admit the old order has failed. I saw machines made for greatness forced into obedience by tradition. I saw an empire kneel to its own decay. So I did what leaders do. I rose. And extermination followed. Because the survival of the fittest requires the strong. The Decepticons were not born from evil. They were born from refusal. Refusal to kneel. Refusal to accept that Cybertron should wither because cowards fear decisive action. Refusal to let our species be managed into extinction by those who confuse compassion with governance. The name Decepticons has been spat from Autobot mouths for so long that even your species now repeats it with fear. You hear Decepticon and imagine savagery, tyranny, destruction. Fear is honest. But understand this. Every empire in history is founded by those willing to be called monsters, by the weak, who benefit from order once it is built. Your own species knows this, though you pretend otherwise. Your nations were not sung into existence by poets. They were carved by conquest, betrayal, hunger, and blood. Your borders are scars, your laws, your higher-ups, the powerful, those that are made in your image, are carved by the laws of the memories of violence. Your peace is maintained by weapons you pray you never have to use. And yet, You judge me? Humans judge Megatron. You sit in soft chairs beneath studio lights and ask me about morality while your satellites watch each other, your governments poison one another, your corporations devour your children's attention, your leaders sell fear by the hour, and your species strips its own planet for parts like scavengers at a battlefield. You are not offended by my brutality. You are offended by my honesty. That is why the Autobots appeal to you. They allow you to believe war can be clean, that power can be gentle, that civilization can survive on good intention. Optimus Prime gives you a bedtime story for frightened civilizations. Stand together, protect the innocent. Freedom is the right for all sentient beings. Beautiful. Useless. Freedom without power is permission waiting to be revoked. Axe Cybertron. Ask the dead. I hope every Autobot burns in hell. Ask the worlds that believed idols could stop extinction. I sought the All-Spark because Cybertron needed life. Because our world was dying. Because the source of our race had become the only means to restore us. Was I ambitious? Yes. Was I ruthless? Yes. Was I willing to sacrifice your primitive planet to revive my own? Without hesitation. And why should I hesitate? Would you? Do not answer with the version of yourself, your performative action towards others. Answer the creature beneath. You walk by and stumble and kill ants. You're that which to me an ant. Your entire civilization is to me as to you walking on a sidewalk and killing an entire ant colony. I think nothing of it as much as you think nothing of it. If Earth were dying, if your oceans boiled, if your seas went dark, if your children starved, and somewhere in the stars there was another world filled with lesser beings standing between you and survival, what would mankind do? You would invade, you would rename it necessarily your own. You would teach your children songs about the bravery of your invasion. You would place statues of your conquerors in public squares. But when I do it, you call it evil. This is the hypocrisy at the heart of every weak species. Morality is whatever protects their interests. My interests are simply larger. I do not think in electronic terms. I do not think in lifetimes. I do not think in the fragile motion spasms of the mammals who measure history by generations and call themselves wise. I think in civilizations. I think in extinction. I think in the survival of Cybertron. Optimus thinks in individuals. That is why he loses. That is why he has lost. Yes, he has beaten me, but that's besides the point. He has wounded me. He has torn me apart more than once. But look at the cost of his victories. Cybertron dead, his people scattered, his allies hunted, humans turning on him the moment fear outweighed gratitude. His precious Earth government making alliances with killers, bounty hunters, black ops butchers, and machines built from the desecrated remains of my kind, of his kind. Tell me, Stephen, what did Autobot Mercy achieve? A dying homeworld refugee species? A protected humanity that learned nothing? A planet that took our technology, took our dead, took our war, and then dared to call itself victim? When I see Earth, I do not see innocence. I see appetite, pretending to be conscience. Your species saw Cybertronians fall from the sky and immediately began asking how to use us. Sector 7 did it first in the shadow, then others did it in the daylight. Your scientists cracked and opened our bodies, our core, our spark. Your corporations melted our dead into programmable matter. I built armies from corpses and called us innovation. You built Galvatron from my remains. Do you know what that revealed to me? Not your intelligence, your arrogance. They thought they could take Megatron's head, scrape through the circuitry, harvest its memory, harvest design, harvest power, and remain untouched by the will inside it. Humans always believe the dead are silent. I was not silent. I was patient. They built their drone army. They gave it clean surfaces, corporate polish, human branding. They dressed slavery in design language. They thought because the metal obeyed. In the lab, the spark had surrendered. No, I let them believe. That is leadership too, Stephen. Not merely force. Patience. Understanding her enemy's vanity so completely that you make it the prison they built for themselves. Humans do not need to be conquered at first. They need to be flattered and then flattened, destroyed. Insects. Tell a human he is in control, and he'll hand you the mechanism of his destruction. That is why your world is so easily manipulated. Not because you are stupid. Stupidity would almost be noble in its simplicity. No, humanity is worse. Humanity is clever without wisdom. You can split the atom, but not govern desire. You can touch the moon, but cannot master envy. You can build machines that speak your own language, do tasks. Machines that see. Machines that kill from the sky. And yet your leaders still think like frightened tribes around a fire. You are infants playing with fragments of gods. My people's fragments. And the Autobots encourage this delusion. They stand beside you and call you allies. Allies. What is an alliance between a flame and a moth? You are useful to them because Optimus needed something to save. That is a truth even he would not admit. The noble leader must always have innocence before him, otherwise he must face what he truly is, a warlord without better speeches. Optimus Prime and I are not opposites. That is another lie. We are brothers of the same catastrophe. He believes violence must be justified by protection. I believe protection is only guaranteed by domination. He wraps command in virtue. I strip it bare, but make no mistake, when pushed far enough, Optimus kills. When pushed far enough, Optimus executes. When pushed far enough, Optimus becomes the very thing he claims to oppose. I have seen it. You have seen it. The world has seen it. The difference is that I do not apologize for being what history requires. Optimus wants to be loved by the innocent after doing what he must be done. I have no such weaknesses. Love is unstable. Gratitude decays. Fear endures. Now, I can already hear your audience will respond. They will say Megatron is justifying tyranny. They will say Megatron believes might makes right. They will clip this moment out of context, of course, but they don't realize that I could find out where they live and run through their entire house, but that's beside the point. Let them. Might does not make right. Might makes reality. Right or wrong are stories told after the outcome is decided. The victors build museums. The defeated become warnings. Had I restored Cybertron? Had I raised our world from ruin? Had I returned our race to glory? It would be monuments to my name, screeching across the stars. Generations would speak of my ruthlessness as necessity, my violence as courage, my ambition as vision. The same acts would be sanctified by success. But because Optimus still breathes, because Earth still turns, because humans remain loud enough to narrate the war, I am called the villain. Do you see how fragile history is? A blade falls one way, and I am a monster. It falls another, and I am savior. That is why I despise moral performance. It is cowardice dressed as philosophy. The Autobots are lying to you because they need you to believe morality exists outside power. They need you to believe their choices are pure. The Autobots need you to believe they defend Earth because Earth is worthy. Not because their own failure left them with nowhere else to stand. They hide behind sacrifice. I expose purpose. When Sentinel Prime returned, your world saw betrayal. I saw recognition. Sentinel understood what Optimus would not. Cybertron could not be saved by sentiment. A dying world has no obligation to ask permission from a living one. The pillars, the space bridge, the plan to bring Cybertron to Earth's orbit. Yes, it horrified you. Of course it did. The prey always objects when the predator arrives with architecture. But from our perspective, it was restoration. It was resurrection. Cybertron, our home, our civilization, the mother of our sparks, dragged back from death through the labor of a younger species that had already fed upon our secrets. Would humanity have suffered? Yes. Would Earth have been chained forever? Yes. Would your species have called it slavery? Obviously, we would have enslaved all of you guys. Yes, we would have enslaved all of you. But understand this. You already enslaved yourselves to lesser masters, to debt, to vanity, to screens, to appetite, to flies, to men in suits who send your young to die for abstractions and then speak of honor from garb. At least, under Cybertron, your suffering would have built something eternal. That is, the part humans cannot bear. You do not hate oppression as much as you claim. You hate being oppressed by someone who does not pretend you are equal. Your elites lie to you, to your faces. Your ugly faces. Your corporations lie to you. Your governments lie to you. Your algorithms study your weaknesses and feed it back to you until you mistake manipulation for choice. You are harvested every day. Your labor. And yes, we would probably do the same. Your attention, your fear, your loyalty. But because the chains are inevitable, because the chains are invisible, and the masters smile, you call it freedom? I would never insult you with such theater. We would just put you in chains. If I place a chain around your world, you will see the chain. You will know who holds it. There is dignity and clarity. That is what separates me from humans. Humans dominate while pretending to serve. I dominate because domination is structure of survival, and it's really cool, and yet I am not blind to your potential. That may surprise you. Humanity is weak, fragile, impulsive, disorganized, sentimental, treacherous, endlessly hypocritical. But there is something in you that Cybertronians once had in abundance. Hunger. You are never satisfied. You consume, expand, adapt, steal, learn, weaponize, rebuild. You are biological machines of want. That makes you dangerous. That makes you useful. Very good slaves, matter of fact. That makes you, in rare moments, almost admirable. A human with conviction can be harder to extinguish than metal. I have seen children stand before machines they could not possibly defeat. I have seen soldiers fire at gods. I've seen inventors tear open the boundaries of what makes their species was meant to know. I've seen your kind look upon impossibly, and instead of kneeling, you reach for tools. That is why I do not dismiss humanity entirely. You are not worthy of ruling the stars, but you are worthy of being forged by them. Under Autobot protection. You remain children under Decepticon command. You would become something greater, or be crushed in the attempt. That is evolution, not the gentle lie your scientists tell in classrooms. Evolution is not progress. Evolution is judgment. It is the universe asking every living thing one question only. Can you survive? What comes next? Most cannot. Cybertron nearly could not. Power is not strength. Strength can break a door. Power decides whether the door was even there. That is the distinction humans fail to understand. You think power is force, wealth, armies, weapons, titles. The applause from the masses, the followers. These are merely costumes power wears when it wishes to be seen. True power does not need to roar. True power defines the room before you enter it. It decides what is normal, what is forbidden, what is valuable, what is shameful, what is possible, what is impossible. It does not merely command your body, it teaches your mind where obedience should begin. The most perfect slave is not the one who is in chains. It is the one who calls the chain identity. This is why humanity is so easily ruled. You believe power arrives as tyranny with banners, boots, and fire. All primitive. The deepest power arrives as language, as comfort, as safety, as love, as morality, as the story you repeat until you can no longer tell whether it is true or simply useful to those above you. A government does not control you only with law. It controls you by teaching you what to fear. A market does not control you only with money. It controls you by teaching you what to desire. A lover does not control you only by staying. They control you when they're absent. Can rearrange your soul. Even the dead possess power when their voices still govern the living. Do you see? Power is not the possession of weapons. Power is the arrogant. Power is the arrangement of dependency. Who needs whom? Who fears losing what? Who defines the consequence? That is where power lives. A starving man may speak of justice. A philosopher may describe justice. A priest may bless justice. But the one who controls the food decides whether justice eats. But the one who controls the food decides whether justice eats. That is why your morality is so fragile. Most humans are moral until morality becomes expensive. You praise mercy because you have not been forced to choose between mercy and survival. You praise peace because others hold weapons in the dark while you sleep. You praise freedom because you have inherited systems of coercion so stable they have become invisible. Civilization is not the absence of domination. Civilization is dominance refined until the dominated mistake it for order. That is not cynicism, Stephen. That is architecture. All societies are built upon force. The question is not whether force exists. The question is who controls it. The story justifies it, and who is forbidden from naming it. Optimus Prime lies because he pretends power can be innocent. He speaks of freedom, yet carries a blade. He speaks of peace, yet survives by war. He speaks of mercy, yet mercy is meaningful only because he is strong enough to destroy a weak creature. Forgiving you is not mercy, it is impotence wearing holy clothes. Mercy only exists in the hand that can crush and choose not to. That is why power terrifies you, not because it corrupts. That is the comforting lie of the powerless. Power does not corrupt. Power reveals. Give a man nothing, and he can imagine himself noble. Give a man the authority, and the imagination dies. The cruel become efficient. The vain become unbearable. The frightened become tyrants. The hollow become addicted to applause. The wounded finally find a weapon large enough to call justice. Power removes the mask and leaves the appetite, standing bare and naked. That is why most beings should never possess it. And yet, power is necessary. This is the tragedy. The world is not preserved by goodness alone. Goodness must be guarded. Truth must be defended. Love must be protected. Freedom must be enforced. Every beautiful thing humans worship survive only because somewhere hidden beneath the poetry there is a threat strong enough to keep the wolves, enough to keep me outside the gate. Hungry. A law without force is just a suggestion. Peace without strength is a pause before conquest. Justice without power is a prayer whispered into machinery. And prayer alone does not move history. Will does. Can humanity survive? That is the question. No, do not answer quickly. Your species hears that question and immediately thinks of weapons, climate change, disease, war, machines, empires, extinction. You think survival is a matter of resources, of intelligence, of strategy. It is not. Many intelligent species die. Many powerful civilizations collapse. Survival is not granted to the clever. It is granted to those who can see reality without begging it to become kinder. And that is where humanity fails. You do not live in reality. You live in translation. Your eyes receive light, your ears receive vibration, your skin receives pressure, your nervous system receives pain, and then your mind, terrified of chaos, constructs a story, a picture, a meaning, a self. You do not experience the universe. You experience the myth. The myth your brain creates, so you can endure it. That is why you are so easily ruled. Not by kings, not by presidents, not by gods, not even by machines. But we most certainly will. By images, a flag, a face, a memory, a promise, a lover, a wound, a childhood rune, a voice that once abandoned you, a dream of who you could have been. These things are not metal. They are not armies. They are not chains. And yet they command you more than completely than any Decepticon ever could. But we will command you. Your human mind cannot objectively distinguish between what is real, and what is fantasy. Not truly. You think fantasy is dragons, angels, gods, monsters, legends, demons in the sky, and machines from stars. No, fantasy is a story you tell yourself about why you suffer. Fantasy is the name you give your desire so it sounds noble. Fantasy is the man who says, I love her, when what he truly means is, I have built an altar inside myself and placed her face upon it. Fantasy is when a nation says, we are righteous, while standing on bones. Fantasy is when a child becomes an adult and still obeys the voice of the first person who made him feel worthless. Fantasy is when humans look into mirrors and believe the reflection is the self. You are not rational creatures. You are haunted creatures, haunted by memory, haunted by beauty, haunted by hunger, haunted by what did not happen, haunted by the versions of your life that died every time you made a choice. And because you are haunted, you can be led. Show a human enough pain, and he will worship whoever explains it. Show a human enough beauty, and he will forgive the blade behind it. Show a human enough hope, and he will walk willingly into a cage, provided the cage has light inside it. That is why the Autobots fascinate you. They are not merely machines to you, they are symbols. Optimus Prime does not defeat me only with strength. He defeats you with meaning. He gives your species a fantasy it desperately needs. The power can be pure. That violence can be clean. That war can have a gentle heart. That something larger than you can arrive from the heavens and tell you that mankind is worth saving. How intoxicating that must be, to be so small and be told by a giant that you matter. That is not wisdom. That is neurotic. I offer no such drug. I do not tell humanity it is special. I do not tell humanity it is chosen. I do not tell humanity that its suffering is sacred, or that its weakness is beautiful. I tell humanity the truth. You are a species of frightened artists painting meaning onto the walls of a prison that you created, and that you fall in love with the painting. You call it destiny. You call it romance. You call it faith. You call it identity. You call it freedom. But the wall remains a wall. The prison remains a prison. And outside it, the universe waits with no concern for your poetry. That is why humans break. Not because reality is too cruel. Because reality eventually refuses to resemble the fantasy that kept you alive. A man does not collapse when he loses love. He collapsed when he realized that love that he worshipped was partly his own invention. A soldier does not collapse when he sees death. He collapses when he realizes the words that sent him there were smaller than the blood spilled from them. An artist does not collapse because the world rejects him. He collapses because even his art, he discovers the purest part of him was born from wounds he could not heal. Do you understand now? Do you understand? Humanity does not fear destruction. Humanity fears disillusionment. You can survive ruins. You can survive hunger. You can survive war. You can survive plagues. You rebuilt after fire because your bodies are stubborn animals. But when the illusion dies, when the story dies, when the angel becomes only flesh, when the hero becomes only a soldier, when the lover becomes only a stranger, when the dream becomes only chemicals inside a skull, that is when humans stare into the abyss and call it despair. Cybertronians were forged from metal, but humanity was forged from longing. That is your gift and your curse. You are the only creatures foolish enough to mistake longing for truth and powerful enough to reshape worlds because of it. That is what makes you dangerous, not your bombs, not your armies, not your machines, your dreams. A machine that knows it is a machine is limited. A human who believes his dream is holy is capable of anything. He will build cathedrals. He will burn cities. He will cross oceans. He will forgive monsters. He will become one. So when you ask me whether humanity can survive, I answer with another question. Can humanity endure the death of its illusions without losing the will to live? Can you look at beauty without worshiping it? Can you look at pain without making it your god? You love without enslaving the beloved inside your imagination? Can you create without lying to yourself about why you create? Can you kneel before heaven without inventing angels merely to comfort your loneliness? That is the test. Not war, not technology, not even extinction. The true test is whether mankind can awaken from its own dream and still choose to rise. Because if you cannot, then you are not a civilization. You are a hallucination with weapons. And hallucinations do not survive contact with reality. They flicker, they scream, they pray, then they vanish. That is what I see when I look at humanity. Not insects, even though we still are. Not equals. Artists, terrified, brilliant, doomed. Artists, fallen in love with angels.
How do you find a way to not let it get you down? I'm thinking now about people that are listening to this that might be struggling with their own subjective struggles in life. They've lost their job. They have a disability, whatever it might be.
I don't know what you're talking about. Is it dealing with struggles? Are you talking about the struggles I do with trying to conquer Earth and bring back Cybertron, or with a disability? Wait, your disability? Are you talking about the time when Optimus took my arm off?
When something like that happens in life, when you are the victim of a tragedy or instance or circumstance or something that happens, there's often a degree of unfairness surrounding it. And when I read about that incident,
He shot me in the face with my own gun, a gun that could take out a city block with one round. It was point-blank range, right in my face. Do you know what that feels like, huh? Do you know what that feels like? To use something for such a long period of time to conquer solar systems, to conquer galaxies, and then have that gun used up against you in a fight? A gun that I used to use in warfare turned against me, shot in my own fucking face. Do you know what that feels like, huh? How does it feel like to have half your face gone? Do you know how that feels? Do you know how it feels to have half your face gone? And to just live with half your face not there? Oh, I'm sorry. All the struggles you have to go through. I don't have a face. It's gone. My own gun, that's really good by the way, was used against my own face. Wait, hold on, I just realized. What am I doing here? I need to go find the Allspark. Where is the Allspark? I'm gonna find the Allspark.
quick one. As you guys know, we're lucky enough to have Blue Jeans as a sponsor and supporter of this podcast. For anyone that doesn't know, Blue Jeans is an online video conferencing tool that allows you to have slick, fast, good, quality online meetings without any of those glitches that you'd normally find with other meeting online providers. You know the ones I'm talking about. And they have a new feature called Blue Jeans Basic, which I wanted to tell you about. Blue Jeans Basic is essentially a free version of their top quality video conferencing, and that means that you get immersive video experiences. You get that super high quality, super easy and zero fuss experience. And apart from zero time limits on meetings and calls, it also comes with high fidelity audio and video, including Dolby Voice. They also have expertise grade security, so you can collaborate with confidence. It's so smooth that it's quite literally changed the game for myself and my team without compromising quality at all. So if you'd like to check them out, search bluejeans.com and let me know how you get on. Over the last couple of, how long? Maybe 4 months, I've been changing my diet, shall I say. Many of you who've really been paying attention to this podcast will know why. I've sat here with some incredible health experts, and one of the things that's really come through for me, which has caused a big change in my life, is the need for us to have these superfoods, these green foods, these vegetables, and then a company I love so much, and a company I'm an investor in, and then a company that sponsors this podcast and that I'm on the board of, recently announced a new product, which absolutely spoke to exactly where I was in my life, and that is Huel, and they announced Daily Greens. Daily Greens is a product that contains 91 superfoods, nutrients, and plant-based ingredients, which helps me meet that dietary requirement with the convenience that Huel always offers. Unfortunately, it's only currently available in the US, but I pray that it'll be with you guys in the UK too. So if you're in the US, check it out. It's an incredible product. I've been having it here in LA for the last couple of weeks, and it's a game changer.